You've always felt like you're watching life from the outside, haven't you? Not because you're broken or antisocial, but because you see patterns others miss. Feel things others don't notice. Understand connections others can't perceive. Carl Jung spent his life studying people like you, the rare ones who don't fit the mold because they were never meant to. These aren't disorders or deficiencies. They're signs you possess what Jung called an individuated personality. Someone who has achieved or is achieving psychological wholeness that most people never even attempt. 1. You feel ancient in a young body. You've felt old since you were young. Not tired, but ancient. Like you've lived before, seen this all before. Understand things you shouldn't understand yet. Other children were playing while you were observing the existential weight of existence. Jung called this the senex quality, the archetype of the wise old one that some people carry from birth. This isn't about being mature for your age. It's about carrying what Jung called collective unconscious memory, more consciously than others. You have access to humanity's psychological inheritance, the patterns, wisdom, and knowledge accumulated over millennia. While others learn through personal experience, you seem to already know. You recognize life's patterns not because you've lived them, but because something in you remembers them. I knew a 7-year-old who told her mother, "I understand why adults are sad. They remember being infinite, and now they're trapped in bodies that die." No one taught her this. Jung would say she's carrying conscious access to what most people only glimpse in dreams or psychedelic experiences. 2. Synchronicities. Follow you everywhere. Your life is full of meaningful coincidences that others call impossible. You think of someone, they call. You need specific information. The right book falls off the shelf. You're struggling with a decision, and strangers have conversations near you that contain your answer. This isn't confirmation bias. It's what Jung called synchronicity, and it intensifies around individuated personalities. Jung believed synchronicities were evidence of the onus mundus, the unified field where psyche and matter meet. Most people experience this rarely, during major life transitions. But for you, it's constant. Your psychological development is so active that the boundary between inner and outer reality is more permeable. You're living proof that consciousness and cosmos are in constant dialogue. 3. You can hold paradox without needing resolution. While everyone else is picking sides, you're holding opposites. You can see how both perspectives in a conflict are true. You understand that someone can be good and terrible simultaneously. You know that life is meaningful and meaningless at the same time. This isn't indecision. It's what Jung called holding the tension of opposites. Most people can't tolerate paradox. They need things to be black or white, good or bad, right or wrong. But you have the rare capacity to hold contradictions without collapsing them into false simplicity. This is a sign of advanced psychological development. You've transcended the ego's need for certainty and can dance with ambiguity. 4. Your dreams are prophetic or instructional. Your dreams aren't just random neural firing or wish fulfillment. They're elaborate teachings, sometimes prophetic visions, often containing information you couldn't possibly know. You've dreamed solutions to problems, future events that came true, or received guidance that proved precisely accurate. Jung distinguished between personal dreams and what he called big dreams. Dreams that come from the collective unconscious and contain wisdom for your life path, or even collective wisdom for humanity. If you regularly have big dreams, you're one of the rare personalities that serves as a bridge between conscious and unconscious realms. A client once dreamed the exact chemical formula for a compound she needed for her research, a formula she'd never seen before. It worked. Jung would say her psyche accessed information from the collective unconscious, where all knowledge exists in potential form. 5. You experience others' emotions as physical sensations. You don't just empathize, you literally feel others' emotions in your body. Someone's anxiety gives you chest tightness. Their depression feels like weight on your shoulders. Their joy bubbles up in your stomach. This isn't just emotional sensitivity. It's what Jung would recognize as unusual permeability between self and other. This rare trait indicates that your ego boundaries are more fluid than most. You haven't fully separated self from not self, which sounds like a problem, but is actually an advanced state. Jung believed individuation ultimately led to recognizing that separation is illusion. We're all part of the same psychological field. You're already experiencing this unity that others only intellectually understand. 6. You destroy and rebuild yourself cyclically. Every few years, you undergo complete psychological death and rebirth. Not just growth or change, total annihilation of who you were and reconstruction as someone new. Your friends joke that you're a completely different person every time they see you, and they're not wrong. Jung called this the night sea journey, the hero's descent into psychological death that precedes rebirth. Most people experience this once, maybe twice in life, usually forced by crisis. But you do it voluntarily, regularly, almost compulsively. You can't tolerate psychological stagnation. You'd rather die and be reborn than maintain a comfortable but outdated identity. 7. Children and animals are magnetically drawn to you. Without trying, you attract children and animals. They stare at you, approach you, trust you immediately. It's like they recognize something in you that adults have forgotten how to see. This isn't about being good with kids, or an animal person. It's about emanating an energy that Jung would identify as archetypal. Children and animals still operate from instinct, from unconscious wisdom. They recognize in you someone who hasn't fully separated from that primal knowing. Your rare personality maintains connection to what Jung called the natural mind, the state before ego fully crystallizes. You're safe to them because you're still part of their world, not fully claimed by adult rationality. 8. Your presence changes rooms. When you enter a space, the energy shifts. Conversations deepen or stop entirely. People suddenly confess things they've never told anyone. Conflicts resolve or intensify. You're not trying to have this effect. It just happens. Your presence is catalytic. Jung would recognize this as the power of an individuated personality. You carry such psychological charge that you activate others' unconscious processes. Your presence forces people to become more authentic because your authenticity makes their masks unbearable. You're a walking invitation to depth, and people either accept it or flee. I've watched someone with this quality enter a party where everyone was making small talk. Within 20 minutes, people were discussing their deepest fears, their spiritual experiences, their unspoken dreams. She didn't direct this. Her presence just made superficiality impossible. 9. You know things without learning them. You have knowledge you never acquired through study. You understand complex concepts instantly. You speak truths you've never read. You solve problems using methods you've never learned. This isn't intelligence in the traditional sense. It's what Jung called absolute knowledge. Jung believed the psyche has access to information beyond personal experience through the collective unconscious. Most people can only access this in altered states or extreme circumstances, but your rare personality has regular access. You're downloading from humanity's psychological database, retrieving information that exists in the collective but hasn't been personally learned. 10. You cannot tolerate inauthenticity. False people, fake situations, and performative interactions make you physically ill. You can spot authenticity or its absence instantly. You've probably lost jobs, relationships, and opportunities because you couldn't pretend, couldn't play along, couldn't maintain facades that others navigate easily. This isn't idealism or stubbornness. Jung would recognize this as the mark of someone who has integrated their shadow and can no longer project it. Most people tolerate inauthenticity because they're inauthentic themselves. But when you faced your own shadow, integrated your own falseness, you can't participate in collective shadows. Your psyche literally rejects it like a body rejecting a transplant. If you recognize yourself in these signs, you carry both burden and gift. The burden is isolation. You'll never quite fit, never fully belong to the collective, never be able to unsee what you see. The gift is consciousness. You get to experience life at depths others don't know exist. Jung believed that individuals with these rare personalities serve a function for the collective. You're the canaries in the psychological coal mine, sensing what's coming before others. You're the bridges between worlds, making conscious what needs to emerge. You're the mirrors that reflect what others can't see about themselves. Your rarity isn't superiority, it's responsibility. You're here to individuate not just for yourself, but as an example of what's possible. Your psychological development creates ripples in the collective unconscious, making it easier for others to follow. The path of a rare personality is lonely but necessary. Jung knew that individuation, becoming who you truly are, requires separating from the collective before you can consciously return to serve it. You're not meant to fit in. You're meant to stand out as a beacon for others who are beginning to wake up. Your rare personality isn't a mistake or mental illness or social dysfunction. It's evolution in action. You're what Jung called the new human. Someone living from self rather than ego, from wholeness rather than fragmentation, from consciousness rather than unconscious patterns. The world needs rare personalities now more than ever. As humanity faces unprecedented challenges, we need people who can hold paradox, bridge realities, access deeper wisdom. We need the individuated ones who've done their shadow work, who've integrated their opposites, who've remembered what everyone else has forgotten. If these signs resonate, stop trying to be normal. Normal was never your destiny. Your destiny is to be authentically, unapologetically, completely yourself, however rare, strange, or incomprehensible that seems to others. Your rarity is your gift to a world dying from too much sameness. Jung would tell you, the fact that you're rare isn't a problem to be solved. It's a solution to problems the collective doesn't even know it has yet. Your job isn't to fit in, but to fully embody your difference, because in your difference lies medicine the world desperately needs. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're not too much or too intense or too different. You're exactly as rare as you need to be for the role you're here to play. The question isn't whether you have a rare personality. If you've read this far, you already know you do. The question is, will you finally stop apologizing for it and start embodying it fully? The world doesn't need another copy. It needs the original you were born to be. And that original Jung knew is always necessarily beautifully rare.